Howdy, 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 hi. Hey, people. Happy Hump Day on the Morning Night Live. How y'all doing today? Turn that music down, please. Thank you. Hi. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. When I was looking, when I was looking at what's going on today, I noticed that a lot of the same things that were trending yesterday are still trending today. And that's because people have no imagination and nothing's happening in the news between the days of Christmas and the New Year. Although there is news to talk about, and so we'll talk about that. I didn't realize that anyone worked between Christmas and New Year, except for us normal people. But, the elites apparently have been out on their horses doing their jobs, plowing the fields and doing all the stuff they're supposed to do. And so there is things to talk about. Of course, I would think of something to talk about anyway, but they make it easier for me. Anyway, hope you're having a great morning. I am. And so we'll get into everything that we do on the show in just a moment. I like this kind of smooth R&B beat. But it is time for the intro. So, Johnny, would you do me the favor? Play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yes. You can leave your hat on, stop the music, and show my face. Thank you, Johnny. You're a good man. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel. I am... It is the 27th of December, 2023, counting down to 2024. I got curious. Does anyone have big plans for the New Year's Eve celebration? I know that my wife and I are going to go to the Vikings-Packer game, which is always fun because that's a big rivalry, and that was our Christmas present to each other this year. It's very expensive to go to a football game at the new U.S. Bank Center. Although the seats are amazing. They're the lower level end zone seats, which will be kind of fun because we'll be able to see the action up close every once in a while. At least I hope so. It's a very important game for both the Vikings and the Packers. I think they're both in Rumble offline. What? Rumble's not working? What the hell's going on with Rumble here? Well, dang blast it, what the hell? Okay, that's good to know. Did I do something wrong here? Let me check here real quick. I don't know if I can fix it though in the middle of the stream. Let's see. It's supposed to be. Let's check here. I don't know if I can fix it. That's the right. Oh, you know what? I must not hit save. And then stream key. That may be user error on my part. Who knows? We'll see if that fixes it. It may or may not. It probably won't. But, it's worth a shot. Anyway. So, maybe Rumble will work. Maybe it won't. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, so we're going to the Vikings-Packer game, and then we have some friends who are having a party, whatever. Standard New Year's Eve party at a friend's house. Nothing crazy, just food. Yeah, here's the thing. We tend to not go out on New Year's Eve. We usually go for a nice dinner with either my daughter-in-law's parents or, friends or whatever. And then we go home and just take it in at home. And usually we're both asleep before midnight anyway. But this year we're actually going to go to the Vikings-Packer game. And then we're going to go over to a friend's house who's close by. No bars, nothing like that. Although last year, I guess we did spend New Year's Eve at Trail Stop Tavern last year, which was not wild. It was kind of mellow. I mean, not mellow-ish. I mean, there were people there enjoying the evening, but it was chill. And since that's also very close to our house, we don't have to, we didn't have to drive really anywhere. I think, did we take an Uber home? I don't know. No, because I stopped drinking at about 11 o'clock and we were there till 1. So, just to chill at New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve's just another night. Yeah, it kind of is, and it's amateur night. I don't like amateur nights. If I'm going to go out drinking, I'm going to go out with the pros on Thursday nights. Anyway, that's what we used to do in college, at least. Thursday night was the big party night in college, because on Fridays and Saturdays, they were either parties or exchanges or whatever. So anyway, that's my drinking story. How about you? What are you going to do on New Year's Eve? So, yeah, Rumble's going to be, I think Rumble's just going to be kaput today, because I apologize. Here, let me make sure I got the link over to YouTube on Rumble. That is called, you got to hit save before you take the stream somewhere else. So let's, sorry, folks, YouTube only today. It will be YouTube only today. Boom, boom. There we go. Link. There's the link. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Let's say hi to everybody. Now, I will acknowledge those of you who were on Rumble and had to come over to YouTube. First in the chat over on Rumble was Avocados Dabbly gets the bell. Also, Jimmy Das Hotep made the effort, as did our friend Tall Person. So, thanks for those who tried, and your host has failed you here. I apologize for that. On YouTube, first in the chat. Oh, do we have a different person? Oh my gosh, it is none other than Tyre Alexander, the gentleman Lynch. Oh, that is so weird when I do that sometimes. It feels weird. It's just, I do have my cup of reparations coffee here. Today it's in the, I have the Great Lakes cup. No salt, no sharks, no worries. Except it's really cold right now. In the summer, it's beautiful. We hit 3 of the Great Lakes last year on our trip to Mackinac Island. We went to Lake Huron, which is that the proper way to say it? Huron. And then we also went to Lake Michigan, and then we were on Lake Superior on one trip, and did a lot of driving along Great Lake type places, and it was wonderful when we went to Mackinac Island. But yeah, so this is the Great Lakes Cup today. Let's see. Also in the chat is Mr. Avocados Diabli. Also, good morning, Sure You Gospel. Good morning, the Wormy Overlord is here. Nice. Good morning, Kay Shull. Tyler F's in the house. Gunfox61, the administrator of the YouTube, Discord server for the P-Dog Night channel, and also currently the new Streamlabs superstar sponsor of the day, dropping a Hamilton in the tip jar with some breaking news. Oh, it's you know what? Gunfox, you're spot on what's happening here, because we are. Wait, what the hell happened here? That's our main topic today. So we'll use your version of the article if I can get the damn thing to open. There we go. Okay, we'll move this over there. There we go. That's all ready to go. Thank you, sir. Also, good morning to my favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies in the house. Lord Stanhope is here. Attack Alpaca is here. Good morning, Anonymity. T2, I'll be back, is here. I said Lord Stanhope. Who else here? I got Cindy Bishop. What's up? Tall Person made it over from Rumble. Good to see that. Also, good morning to Scribe Light, Dog Thrapple, and Don Julio, Gulf City Biker and Trash Man. Shrapnel's in the house. I think and Special Can Acid. I apologize. Yesterday, I missed you yesterday, Special Can Acid, and so I am going to say it twice, Special Can Acid. And Slim Tito, 02. Good to see you in the chat. All right. Also, Gunfox dropping a couple more Hamiltons in the tip jar. I'm going to be, it's head explode time on this one. Oh, no. Yeah, thanks for that one, I guess. And move that down over here. What is this? Oh, you know what? I do have to make sure that you can see stuff when we get there, too. Bam. There we go. I fixed that. And then that's, so the one says, China is asshole.
China is
It's
asshole.
okay. And then the next one is ban all guns. Okay, well, we'll get to these stories. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. That's good to know. So we'll move Ace over there, and we should be ready to go. Okay, are you all ready for the show today? Let's talk about. Let's do a quick run through the trending things on Twitter and X or whatever, and the trending social media things happening. Because I did take a look at that. Now, it was weird though when I went on there this morning. I noticed that most of the same topics from yesterday were still trending. And I was like, well, why is that happening? And partially because people are still talking about Christmas. People are still talking about happy holidays. People are still talking about Kwanzaa. People are still talking about, what are the other things? There was a bunch of them. Let's see. They were talking about still, Boxing Day, all the holiday related stuff was still going on. Plus, people are still talking about Umar Johnson. People are still talking about Jesus. People are still talking about rotten hell. People are still talking about Santas. People are talking about Delta. It's a lot of the same things, but for different reasons is interesting. So I thought it was going to be because, they're just the same people talking the same crap and whatnot, and it was different. So let's run through the trending topics real quick. Christmas is wait, what happened here? Where's my, wait, I forgot. I got to say some thank yous too. Thank you to people sharing the show. Apologize if you used the Rumble link because I screwed up. So Gunfox, I appreciate you tweeting that out. They'll go to the Rumble link and see that they have to go to YouTube. Also, thank you, another guy, V. You all retweeted my tweet too. Thank you, another guy, V. Gunfox, aka Mac Wolf on Twitter, Tyler F, and Tall Person and Jimmy Das Hotep for just tweeting out the show on your own. I greatly appreciate that. I will always retweet the ones that are, let's see, did you do the YouTube link? Yeah, you did the YouTube link. I'll do that. I'm not going to repost Rumble links just because I screwed up. And there we go. So I retweeted you guys too. All right. Things happening. Sorry, I don't mean to keep wiping my nose, but my nose is running and it's not pleasant. I've been drinking like this, supposedly herb stuff that'll help keep you from getting sick during the winter. It's kind of a ginger tea, but it has a hint of garlic in it. It has some cinnamon in it. Has honey, lemon, lime, and it's actually, you're surprised how it actually tastes good, even though there's a hint of garlic in it. But the honey really makes things taste good, and it's supposed to keep from getting really sick. And I don't know if it's working or not. We'll see. So anyway, let's go in here. Christmas is trending, and part of it is because of things that happen. They're combined with things with Delta, but also apparently 160 Christians were massacred during Christmas in Nigeria. Extremists killed women and children and destroyed hundreds of houses. A pastor and his entire family were slaughtered. But the media is not really taking major note of that. But here's, for example, one person posting this story. Christian Daily International Morning Star News actually posted it. And the media is not really getting on this. So here it is. 160 Christians in Nigeria were slaughtered by Muslims on Christmas Day. Another 300 were wounded. The Muslim attackers used guns and machetes to butcher their victims. The media obviously isn't reporting on it. Why? Because the victims were Christians, and the people that run the media hate. Okay, I'm using this for their words. I don't know if they hate Christians, but they're certainly not going to go out of their way to talk about Christians. They go out of their way to avoid protecting Christian interests because it makes the global Islamic community look bad, and people that run our world have a vested interest in importing as many Muslims from the third world countries as they can into the West. The end goal is to destabilize Western civilization with chaos for the purpose of implementing the New World Order. Regardless, say a prayer for the victims and their families today. And then that's the headline from Christian Daily International, Morningstar News. Then they continue here. Someone here comes down here and says, the people who run the world media have a vested interest in making Muslims look bad. That's why 9/11 was done by Mossad, and you were made to believe it was Muslims who hate you for your freedom. So something in your life doesn't add up to at a sovereign bra. Yeah, no, 9/11 was not done by Mossad. That's funny. Although Saudi Arabia, there's Saud in the name, but it's not necessarily Mossad, might have had a little more to do with it than we're willing to admit. But that's everyone's conspiracy theory. Hello, Genti. What's up? Nice to see you. What isn't adding up for you is the fact that they've always used Muslims as pawns, so they switched up the narratives to achieve their changing goals. MSM narrative, okay, whatever. From 2000 to 2014, all Muslims are terrorists. Now go fight our wars in the Middle East. Okay, he's going on and talking about it. I'm going to just stay away from this. This is going to get into a long conspiracy theory thing. And, YouTube's not really friendly as far as that goes. So let's move on. Other things trending. Kwanzaa. Now, I got a story about Kwanzaa I'll talk about later. And again, I'm going to ask you, hello, GDSOB, what's up? I'm going to remind you, here's my position on Kwanzaa. I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. However, and the idea that it's a made-up holiday, okay? People say it's a made-up holiday. Well, sure. It's not a religious holiday. It's not it's more of a cultural, social holiday that some Black people celebrate. And, the ideas behind it, many of them are good, although even though it was the person who came up with it, I think is an asshole. But people have kind of, it's caught on a little bit in African American community. It's strictly a holiday for Americans of African descent. It's not even a African holiday. It's just something that someone came up with that, hopefully that could spark some self-improvement within Black communities. And so if you really listen to the, they're all made up. So if you really listen to what some of it is saying, you probably could get on board with a lot of it. So learn more about it instead of just ridiculing it. I've kind of, because I used to ridicule it myself, but then I started actually listening, and when my mother started celebrating it about 15 years ago, and I'm like, I came into her house, when Christmas, and she's had the candles up there. I'm like, what are those for? Because I thought she put a menorah up, but no, it was the 7 candles instead of 9. And she kind of explained it to me. I'm like, okay, I'm not on board, but I get it. And there's some, a lot of it is about self-sufficiency and supporting each other. And that's probably a good message for Black communities, because that ain't always happening. So don't knock it till you read it, and then try to read it with an open mind. But there's certain funny things about it that I'm going to talk about later, or a particularly funny thing about it that I'm going to talk about later, because it happened again, just like it happened last year. We'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, someone here says, I created Kwanzaa. People think it's African, but it's not. I wanted to give Black people a holiday of their own, so I came up with Kwanzaa. I said it was African because Black people in this country wouldn't celebrate it if they knew it was American. And that's Ron Karenga, who was a shitty person, but he served his time and he did whatever. And I get upset by people like CJ here. For example, this is so here's the guy who invented it, whatever. Oh, he has some more here. What else did he put on here? Oh, that's it. that was him speaking at Howard University. And I want to talk to people like CJ, who I like CJ Pearson, but he's saying, my name is CJ Pearson. I'm 21 years old. I'm an American. I'm not African American. I celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ, not Kwanzaa, a fake holiday created by a convicted criminal. Again, here's where I go. Some of it is commie gobbledygook, but some of it, if you take it in the right way in context, can be helpful if people would actually do what it says to do. Things like self-sufficiency, things like supporting community, things like that. So the more I listen to it, I go, I'm not going to celebrate it, but I understand why it would make sense for people. But I think people should stop shitting on it. If there are people, because there are Black conservatives who actually embrace Kwanzaa too. Do you know that? Because of some of the messages within it could be considered conservative, even though we won't tell them, because then they'll stop celebrating it. So anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into that. So anyway, let's move on. Also trending Boxing Day, because it is still, Boxing Day was yesterday, but people are still talking about it. But with 86 required to win the family Boxing Day tournament against her grandson, Luis, 85-year-old Maureen understood the assignment. Absolute bedlam in the Danvers household. So they had a little darts tournament on Boxing Day. Oh, and a streaker on Boxing Day at a soccer event. Also trending in that realm, happy holidays. Okay, this apparently is I don't know what that's supposed to be, and I'm going to just go past it. Sending love. Anyway, people still saying, throwing out the happy holidays because it's still the holidays. Also trending, Delta. Now, I really want to come back to Delta later. There was something, because Delta was trending the other day because some people were flying on Delta Airlines and found that their plane was almost filled with migrants, aka illegal aliens, right? Well, Delta's trending for a different reason today, and I swear if 80 people all flash the same video that we're going to look at a little bit later. So we'll come back to that, okay? We'll come back to it. It doesn't make it less imaginary. How is it imaginary? Here's the thing. It's not imaginary. It's just a holiday that's not a religious. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do. It's just something that someone came up with that they wanted to spread among the black community. It doesn't matter if it's imaginary to you. Lots of holidays are imaginary to me. So, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, all right, let's move on. So we'll come back to Delta later. The Color Purple still trending because apparently the movie The Color Purple is still, it's a musical version of The Color Purple. The Broadway version of The Color Purple, the movie that starred Oprah Winfrey and Danny Glover and all those people, right? There's a musical version of it, and now there's a movie version of the musical version of The Color Purple, because now people are complaining there's too much singing in The Color Purple. It's because it's a musical version of The Color Purple. So anyway, there's that movie still trending because people are talking about it. Also, okay, did I do The Color Purple twice? I did. I didn't mean to do it twice, so let's just close that one. Also trending, Jesus is trending. Now, this is one of the dumbest things going on right now on Twitter, because it should be WGAF as far as what color was Jesus, okay? People are still arguing, or not even know if they're arguing about it, because I think most people with a brain would realize that Jesus, born in the Middle East, probably have, in that Semitic region of the Judea, and probably isn't a white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes. Although, if you look at depictions of Jesus around the world, pictures of Jesus around the world tend to reflect the region in which you see the picture of Jesus. So if you go through in Ethiopia, pictures of Jesus tend to be dark black men. If you look in the Asian continent, pictures of Jesus tend to have Asian features. If you look in Europe, pictures of Jesus tend to have European features. And in America, since we imported most of the European shit, we have the European-looking Jesus in a lot of churches. But likely, in the actual description of Jesus in the Bible says, he had light brown, he had some brown skin and dark hair and curly sheep's wool, this and that, yada, yada. But the fact that people are out here arguing about it, how about we stop worrying about what color Jesus was and just worry about maybe what his message was? Isn't that a little more important? There's a lot of people out here talking about, Jesus this, Jesus that. And looking like this and that. And then other reasons just because people are saying, I don't know, the fact that people are calling. Oh, the other stupid one is, people calling Jesus a Palestinian Jew? By the way, good morning, Shrapple and Anna Lynn. A Palestinian Jew. Well, that's not likely. Why? Because there was no such thing as Palestine when Jesus was born. See, Jesus was born when Bethlehem was part of Judea. Jesus was born before anyone even called the area Palestine, and it wasn't a country. It was just an area that the Romans controlled. And the reason the Romans changed the name of Judea to Palestine is because when they were trying to ethnically cleanse the area of Jews, they didn't want any remnants of the idea that Jews once lived there. So they changed the name to Syria Palestinia, which is a Roman name for Philistines, and therefore there was no such thing as Palestine. It was 100 years after Jesus died that they changed the name of the region. And so, no, Jesus was not a Palestinian Jew, you flipping morons. Just wanted to get that straight. Learn, get some history. In fact, well, was he Israeli? Well, it was not the kingdom of Israel when he was alive. It was still, it was under Roman occupation. The Romans took over, and the occupation of that region was prior to, or after, or excuse me, before it was called Israel, because it was Judea when the Romans took it over. But it was rich. The only other time it was actually a governed area of some sort of state or whatever was when it was the kingdom of Israel under King David. So in any case, it certainly was not Palestine, and therefore Jesus was not a Palestinian Jew. There was no such thing as a Palestinian Jew. Hello, Rick Ashbringer. What's up? So anyway, that stupid argument's still going on. What else is trending? Umar Johnson is trending. And I don't know if you know who Umar Johnson is. He's a what would you call him? Umar Johnson's a pro-black dude, okay? And he's not necessarily liberal or conservative. He's just all about being pro-black. And he says some things about, he said something about, he was talking about Kobe Bryant's wife and her money. And it's interesting, because this time, you start talking about Kobe and Kobe's family, people get a little heated, so to speak. And so here's Dr. Umar Johnson talking about Vanessa Bryant and Kobe Bryant's money, okay, that Kobe Bryant earned, and Umar's a little upset that Vanessa Bryant isn't using it in the way that Umar Johnson believes it should be used. So here's the clip that people are talking about. Hello, real European patriot. Democrats want to end democracy because they know they can't win the election. Sadly for them, the U.S. Supreme Court will stop their dictatorship attempt. Fuck Joe Biden, Trump 2024. Well, there you go. Thank you, real European patriot. Nice to see you. Wait, if you're a European patriot, okay, I'm just gonna stop there. I'm gonna let you do you be you. And welcome to the show, by the way. I've never seen your name here before. I'm welcome, and I'm glad you're here. So here's pro-black Umar Johnson talking about Vanessa Bryant's money, or excuse me, Kobe Bryant's money, which is now has been passed down on to his family.
Let me ask you a question. Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna ask you a question. Kobe Bryant died. Vanessa inherited his wealth.
Yeah. And wait for it.
Guess what? Is Vanessa Bryant using any of that black man's money to do any good in the black community? Let me ask you. Absolutely fucking not. We don't know.
First of all, how does he know that? And second of all, what business is it of his? But anyway, let him finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
Listen, I don't know. I'm telling you.
How you know?
Let me ask you a question.
But wait.
She's a public figure.
Can I ask you a question?
And she just
You don't know
You
that.
didn't see that initiative.
You don't know
I
that.
do know. I do know. And I'm telling you now.
Let me ask you a
Vanessa
question.
Bryant just started an initiative with 3 predominantly white colleges.
Are they in California? Because here's what he's going to go on to say. Oh, well, why didn't you use it for an HBCU? Well, there's no HBCUs in California, for one. But anyway.
Sort of a sports initiative with Kobe's money in Kobe's name didn't choose a single HBCU?
Let me ask you a question.
Kobe didn't go to an HBCU. Kobe went to the NBA out of high school. And look, if you're doing some kind of a sports initiative at a college, and a majority of college athletes tend to be of the African-American black variety, I mean, you're helping people. So what is his, but he, you know what? He thinks, because she's not helping black people, which I don't even know how he expects her to help black people, but he's mad.
With a black man's money. Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Now wait,
he
someone
died
makes a
from
good
taking
point
a
here.
COVID shot. Is his white widow using any of Marvelous Marvin Hagler's fortune to help black folks?
You're being unfair.
I'm being unfair how?
No, let me tell you why.
Expecting white women to use black money to help black people?
No.
How is that unfair?
Because the same way you naming these people, we can name mad black wives that got black money from their husbands that did shit to help black people. Well, stop. It's my goal. No, it's not.
And you know what the difference is? You know what the difference is?
What's the difference?
If I marry a white woman, when I die, my wealth goes to the very people who have robbed everything from my community.
So anyway, that's why Umar Johnson's trending. It's sometimes he says something that's halfway coherent, and sometimes he's off the rail. And this time he's off the rail. That woman could do whatever he wants because she's the one who Kobe bought a $25,000 diamond for when he cheated on her. So that's please stop. Can't do it. Anyway,
Bryant.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay. Shut up. So that's why Umar Johnson's trending. A lot of people talking about that clip, though. A lot of people talking about that. And I got to tell you, even some of the black women ain't having that noise. It's like it doesn't matter. That's his wife, and she can do whatever. Is he rich? What was stolen from him? Who? Oh, Umar? I don't know if Umar Johnson's rich or not. He's been trying to put together this school for about 20 years now, and I don't know if he ever got it off the ground. Also trending, Eminem is trending. Now, Umar Johnson had something to say about Eminem in that same video because people are trying to rate the greatest rappers of all time, and I am like, who cares? But he was mad because some black people are saying that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, and I don't know. I know that's totally subjective thought. If I'm going to go deep on this, I would go back to people like KRS-One, who actually had messages and ability to weave rhymes in throughout the message, or people like I don't know. How about Rakim or Big Daddy Kane? I go back to old school rappers who are probably as talented. In fact, I probably would say KRS-One right now is as talented as Eminem. Eminem does have an amazing flow. He's Hall of Fame if there was a Hall of Fame for rappers. But it's another one of those things people are arguing about that I don't give a shit about. So I'm going to move on. Next, Rotten Hell still trending because of Donald Trump's Christmas message to the world. So now, apparently Debbie Dingell, who's former Senator John Dingell, or was he senator or congressman? Anyway, John Dingell, and his wife, Debbie Dingell Barry. Okay, that's unnecessary. Apparently she criticized Donald Trump for his Rotten Hell Christmas message. And so then apparently Donald Trump lashed out at her. Debbie Dingell of Michigan is a loser who helped crooked Joe Biden and his merry band of thugs to destroy our country. And with this insane open borders policy, inflation, high-cost energy, Green New scam, horrible world diplomacy, it was very horrible. The Afghanistan catastrophe, all electric cars, and so much else, our country is in no longer respected mess, a nation in decline, a failing crime-ridden country. When I gave, as president, her long-serving husband an absolute highest U.S. honors for his funeral, a really big deal, she called me crying almost uncontrollably to say that she couldn't believe I was willing to do that for a Democrat. And she thanked me profusely. 2 months later, she was back to something criticizing me or whatever. So anyway, he went off at Debbie Dingle for criticizing him for the rotten hell Christmas message, which it's this classic Donald Trump overboard funny shit that he does that makes you wonder, well, sometimes it makes me question the president, but you know what? I'm still all for him. Hello, found Marty, like hip hop that came before NWA ruined it. Yeah, you know, I gotta say, you know, there was a point where hip hop and rap music and stuff was getting really messagey. Like there was a lot of bands out there that were either having a message or just happy party kind of things, you know? I mean, the Kid and Play and Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that, but you also had message rappers like, you know, well, I already said KRS-One or what was that one? X-Clan, things like that, you know, and they were all of a sudden they were having all these messages about, you know, improving yourself and black unity and this and that. And then all of a sudden the record company said, nah, we want to try and get some of this gangster rap in here. So NWA came about and that was history. And, you know, then it turned into, you know, who's shooting who? And I don't know, man. Anyway, all right, let's keep going because I gotta get through some of this. Also trending is Where's Melania? And that is trending because the Trump family took a Christmas picture of some sort. Here's the picture that they took. They took this Christmas picture, and people were speculating that perhaps something's rotten in the state of Trumpdom because there happens to be no Melania Trump in the picture. All the rest of the family's there, but all of his, let's see, you know what? Eric Trump's is not in this picture either. So not everybody was there. There's Barron, there's Jared, and what's her face, Ivanka, and this is the Tiffany Trump, and a bunch of the Trumps were there, but no Eric and no Melania. So people are starting to say, oh, where's Melania? Where's Melania? And it's kind of stupid, too, because Melania's actually been out doing a kind of a circuit of news shows and appearances on behalf of the Trump campaign. But a lot of people want to say, oh, Melania's not involved. In fact, who was this? Where was this? She was doing a speech somewhere. And a lot of the people doing this Where's Melania thing are also DeSantis supporters because, you know, they want to trip on Trump too. But anyway, here's where's she at?
Becoming an American.
Oh, she was at a ceremony for swearing in new Americans. Hello, Jason Who, by the way.
Citizen comes with responsibility. It means actively participating in the democratic process and guarding our freedom. It also means leading by example and contributing to our society. It is a life-altering experience that takes time, determination, and sometimes even tremendous strength. Becoming an American.
Okay, so anyway, she's out there doing stuff. I mean, shows up on TV several times, but there's a lot of people who are asking where's Melania. Like, here's this picture. This is Donald Trump with his daughter and his son-in-law and their kids. It's like, that's not Melania's daughter. So it's like, who cares? Anyway. All right. Also trending. This is the last trending topic because it's going to get it. And also Barron Trump's trending just because everyone's still, every time people see pictures of Barron Trump towering over his father and over the rest of the family, you get pictures like this because he was 6'7" at 14 years old. And apparently he's grown a little bit more, but so notice how he's the tallest guy in the family. So anyway, a lot of people talking about Barron Trump. Now, some people and then there's people who want Barron Trump to rebel against his family. If Barron Trump wanted to rebel against his parents, all he would have to do is be a decent human being. Oh, are you saying he's not a decent human being just because he's related to Donald Trump? That's kind of stupid and dumb and more than that. So, all right, that's it for trending topics on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. Let's move on to some news. Now, Gunfox has so graciously provided a few news items and dropped some Hamiltons in the tip jar, so I feel very strongly about following up with those news stories. But first, let me thank another person who tweeted out the show this morning. Another guy retweeted my tweet of the post, and also Maddie is in the house, who also tweeted out the show this morning. And thank you for doing that, Maddie. So I appreciate you. Share the stream, hit the like button, and if you want to donate, pdognight.live. It's in the pinned at the top of the chat over in YouTube. If you want to make a donation and or have your look, you want to get my attention, drop some green into the tip jar. That'll do it. I'll make sure I'll read almost everything you write. I might have to take some poetic license in some cases, but it's rare. Because, I don't give a fuck. So here we go. Big news story, though. And I'll go with Gunfox's version here. The Michigan Supreme Court, and that's the main topic of the show today. Now, I'm going to read this as they write it, and then I'm going to make sure that you understand the caveats of this. The Michigan Supreme Court has rejected a case to remove Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot. There's a caveat, though. Okay, let's not get too excited. The story here, the Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday, Hump Day. Oh, that's breaking news today, 38 minutes. Okay, Hump Day, the Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected an effort to boot former President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot in 2024. Now, did you hear that? Did you hear what I said there? Did you catch the word that was the key word? State's primary ballot in 2024. We'll get there. The court order blocks efforts to remove Trump from the 2024 ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which states no one who is engaged in insurrection or rebellion after having sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution and hold office. Now, this is NBC News. NBC News is very, very anti-Trump, right? And so notice when they put the second line here, they're saying, at least this is kind of even though it's not an editorial, that's kind of an editorial move. By saying, blocks efforts to remove Trump under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, as if they should do that. Who has engaged, and it quotes in quotes, engaged in insurrection or rebellion after having sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution can hold office. In a brief order issued Wednesday, the court said it declined to hear a case arguing that Trump should be left off the state's ballot because it is, quote, not persuaded that the question presented should be reviewed by this court. Oh, why would that be? We went through it the other day. That's a federal law. That's not a state law. Now, if for chance the federal, hey, Monkey, how you Randy Monkey's in the house. Everyone say hi to Randy Monkey. If the federal government by court had convicted Trump of insurrection, or Congress did an act of Congress to remove him from eligibility for presidency, then the states would have an obligation to remove him from ballots. But that has not happened. And so, like I said the other day, the Colorado case I think it's going to be overturned for a couple reasons. One, because Colorado, the United States government, no form, either executive, judicial, or legislative branch, has taken any action to disqualify Trump from being president, nor has the judicial system even charged him with anything that would cause that. But also, a state court can't adjudicate a federal law. They can only comply with the federal recommendation, which has not been made. Whereas Colorado decided that they could make the determination without due process of the person that they were removing from the ballot. So they're taking away a right of a U.S. citizen without due process under the federal law. So I'm pretty sure that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Colorado's version of this. But anyway, The order comes after the Michigan Court of Appeals this month similarly rejected challenges to Trump's spot on the state's primary ballot. The High Court last month also dismissed the petition by a group of voters to ban Trump from the 2024 GOP primary and general election ballots. The Michigan Supreme Court's order Wednesday contrasts the Colorado State Supreme Court's first-of-its-kind decision last week barring Trump's candidacy in the state's primary next year under constitutional grounds. Now, then they highlight, again, this is MSNBC, so they want to make sure you know that this is Colorado's ruling. It says a majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The Colorado ruling said because he is disqualified, it would be a wrongful act under election code for the Colorado Secretary of State to list him as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. Again, the state made a ruling on a federal law or a federal statute, or so there is nothing that has disqualified him. And they say, a lot of people say, "Oh no, it's self enacting or whatever." It can't be. There has to be actual determination in federal court, a federal disqualification of him. So at least that's my reading, as I've read a ton about that. So anyway, let's see how ABC News treated. Now ABC News did this about 2 hours ago, so they don't have the full ruling. All it says is the Michigan State Supreme Court Wednesday rejected an appeal aiming at barring former President Donald Trump from the state's 2024 ballot based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. In doing so, Michigan's High Court upheld a Michigan Court of Appeals ruling earlier this month that rejected an earlier appeal filed by a watchdog group, Free Speech for People. Free Speech for People. I'm sure that's what their biggest, I'm sure Free Speech for People is absolutely a group that believes in free speech. On behalf of the group's Michigan voters who sought to remove Trump from the ballot based on his activity surrounding the attack by his supporters on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. And again, the language surrounding the attack by his supporters on the U.S. Capitol. Oh, you mean the protest that turned into a riot? That was the attack on the Capitol? See, the language they're using, self-executing. Thank you, Avocado. I believe my brain is not... I'm Joe Biden, you know what I mean? You know the thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's a little silly. And here's the Hills version. Let's move it so you can see it. Michigan State Supreme Court rejects bid to take Trump off the primary ballot. I'm trying to see if there's any different. Oh, now they added something that the others two didn't have in here. Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected an attempt to remove former President Trump from the state's primary ballot under the 14th Amendment's insurrection ban. Again, they all want to make sure that they have to. You can't be banned for an insurrection that nobody's labeled, at least legally, an insurrection. But the next line, this is one that the other two didn't have. A liberal-leaning group had appealed a state's appeals court ruling that concluded, okay? So they at least acknowledge that, even though the group's called free speech something, whatever it is, this article at least says it was a liberal-leaning group that appealed the state's appeals court ruling that concluded regardless of whether the 14th Amendment disqualifies Trump from holding office, Michigan's Secretary of State lacks the legal authority to remove him from the ballot. Now, that's not really what they said, because if there was an actual disqualification under the 14th Amendment, of course they would be obligated to remove him from the ballot because he wouldn't be eligible for the office. But this one says, regardless of whether the 14th Amendment disqualifies Trump from holding office, well, you have to have that disqualification first, not make it up yourself. That's just whatever. What? It's okay as long as you're not pooping in your pants. Okay, no, I'm not pooping in my pants. The state's highest court in Michigan is controlled by Democrats. And they let that lower ruling stand, saying in an unsigned order that it was not persuaded that the questions presented should be reviewed by this court. So they were basically upholding a lower court ruling by not ruling on it for all practical purposes. All right. So there you go. That's the thing all about that. Here's Gun Fox's other article. China's... Oops, I should probably put the article in the thing here. Let's see. Who's going to fit there? Nope. I'll have to go this way. Okay. China's Christmas warning to a U.S. ally. Stop. Wrong course. I bet if you guys have heard that before. Oh, what's wrong with me? If your mind's in the gutter, well, then you understood that. Okay, China told the Philippines Monday to stop involving extra regional powers in the neighboring countries, escalating a territorial feud in the South China Sea. Quote, "We hope the Philippines will stop pursuing the wrong course at once," Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said at the day's regular press conference. The Philippines resolved to supply forces stationed at contested features in the sea, and China's determination to blockade these missions resulted in collisions, dangerous maneuvers, and water cannon and alleged sonic weapon attacks by Chinese forces on December 9th and 10th, drawing Western condemnation, with Washington underscoring its commitment to its 1951 U.S.-Philippine Mutual Defense Treaty. So they're fucking around with the Philippines, which is a U.S. ally in the region. Hello, Chicago Mike and Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Nice to see you. China will not weaken its resolve to protect its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests, Mao said. She labeled the Philippines' supply missions to disputed Second Thomas Shoal provocations and said Manila was drawing in forces outside the region into those issues. Mao called on the Philippines to properly handle the maritime dispute through negotiation and consultation. Newsweek has reached out to the Chinese embassy in the Philippines with a request for comment. China claims dominion over most of this energy-rich South China Sea, despite an international tribunal's 2016 ruling that the claims violate Philippines' exclusive economic zone as defined by the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. China has repeatedly accused its Southeast Asian neighbor of acting as a pawn in Washington's effort to destabilize the region and appealed to Manila to return to one-on-one talks. So basically they're saying that the Philippines is an American puppet. China, which, who knows? They may well be, they may not be. I don't know. But it's still, they don't need to, China's being provocative here. China repeatedly accused the Southeast Asian neighbor of acting as a pawn. Okay, I just said that. On Monday, Armed Forces of the Philippines spokesperson Colonel Miguel Aguilar told local media the Philippines was making preparations for more joint patrols next year with allied countries in the West Philippine Sea, Manila's term for the part of the South China Sea lying within its EEZ, which again is the exclusive economic zone as designated by the United Nations. So that's a disputed waters, and they're having arguments over there, and who knows how that's going to go. We're just World War III is coming, guys. Let's just put it that way. It's oh, good Lord. Well, it is the South China Sea, unless you use the Philippines term for it, which is the West Philippine Sea. See, it's an area that's used by both, and technically international waters in some spots. And the United Nations apparently tried to settle that dispute and designate certain areas as this and that, but nobody seems to be following the lines, that, so to speak. All right. In Pennsylvania. Now this may or may not go anywhere. Pennsylvanians with a permit to carry a concealed gun can lose that privilege if they are convicted of crimes ranging from shoplifting and writing a bad check to marijuana possession or committing bigamy. But if they walk up to an airport security checkpoint with a loaded gun in their carry-on luggage, the weapon will be confiscated and they'll receive a fine. There is no guarantee they will lose their permit to carry a concealed weapon. One lawmaker wants to change that. State Representative Dan Frankel, Democrat from Squirrel Hill. Oh, that's a funny name for an area in Philadelphia. Squirrel Hill. He's probably a squirrel. Rachel Madhouse, dildos in the house. What's up? I can't stand saying that line. Okay, Democrat from Squirrel Hill is working on a measure that would revoke the concealed carry permits of people caught with a gun at a security checkpoint. So I'm pretty sure you can, for example, if you're transporting a gun via airlines and it's in your regular luggage, that's checked luggage, you can have it in your checked luggage. But if you forget because it's in your carry-on and instead of your checked luggage, that can be a problem, and they'll try to confiscate your guns, right? Because you shouldn't have a gun on your carry-on luggage in a plane because they don't want anyone, firing shots within the cabin of the plane. Representative wants to revoke the concealed carry permits of people caught with a gun at security checkpoint. I don't know if someone tell me, is that a good or bad idea? For years, I've watched law enforcement try to solve the problem of guns in airports with education, signage, and public announcements alone, and the number of incidents has continued upward, he said. It's time to look at solutions with teeth, which could serve to prevent these dangerous events from happening, and also identify firearm owners who may not be qualified to carry a deadly weapon in public. Oh, well, I bet you really just wanted to stop at identify firearm owners. But anyway, about 2/3 of the people caught with a gun at the airport this year didn't face criminal charges because there's no state law against bringing a firearm to an airport security checkpoint if they have a permit. This year, Allegheny County Police filed criminal charges against 14 of the 43 people with guns stopped by the Transportation Security Administration screeners at Pittsburgh International Airport. The proposed TSA Firearm Compliance Act should not concern gun owners who follow the rules, Frankel said. Gun owners who wish to transport their firearms while flying have a safe avenue available to them. Unloaded weapons may be legally transported through checked baggage if placed inside a locked hard-shell container, he said. And yet thousands of Pennsylvania travelers, thousands? Wait a minute. Thousands? Your checked baggage wouldn't be with you at a security checkpoint because checked baggage is checked prior to going to the security checkpoints. Unless it's late, like a last, people say, they go, hey, we don't have enough room in the overhead bins. Can we check your baggage? But generally in almost every airport, you check your baggage before you go to a security checkpoint. And yet thousands of Pennsylvania travelers, along with airport workers and members of law enforcement, are put in peril each year when individuals attempt to bring guns through carry-on luggage checkpoints in airports. And in 100% of those cases, the firearm owner's explanation, I forgot. Frank said the problem poses more than just a risk to the accidental discharge in a crowded airport terminal. This ongoing problem is a drain on TSA resources and a distraction from other dangers that could compromise air travel safety, not to mention major causes of delays at airports. Okay, what do y'all think of this? I'm not going to read anymore. Here's I'm going to give you a couple of the comments in this article. I've had my CCL for 40 plus years. I know where and when I carry my gun and who I have to disclose that info to if asked. It's as simple as reading the pamphlet every time you renew your CCL every 5 years. Now, this person says, try. Your feelings do not supersede the Constitution of the United States of America. You will get my gun one piece at a time. If you don't have a license, you can't carry. Thank God the criminals follow the laws. I'm sorry. I know you can have guns in your checked baggage. That's what they're saying. So the idea, you do check your bag before you go to security at airports. So I don't know how people forget that and try to carry them on. If that's the rule of the airplanes, I don't know if the idea that you would lose your concealed carry permit because of that. Maybe if you did it a couple times, maybe. But people do forget where they put their weapons. I suppose that doesn't make sense to me. But I defer to you all. I don't think it's a terrible idea. But it is one of those things. Every time you start making a little chip away at people's rights, then eventually they chip enough to take them all away. So I don't know. If that's the rules, then maybe you should find a way to follow the rules. All right. By the way, if you want to read the court decision, wait a minute. I accidentally closed the tab, reopen, close tab. I do have the court decision in Michigan. If you really are, it's only 5 pages long, basically telling them that they're not going to do anything about it, the lower court order. But if you want to read it, it's available. All right, moving on. Just other news. 2 teens stabbed on Christmas in New York's Grand Central Station by someone who said, "I want all white people dead." Okay, that's saucy. 2 teenage girls were reportedly stabbed on Christmas Day while enjoying a meal at Grand Central Terminal. The incident occurred before noon on Monday at a restaurant called Tartanary in the Grand Central Dining Concourse. According to reports, the alleged assailant, Stephen Hutcherson, 36, of the Bronx, argued with restaurant staff over sitting in the restaurant space, at which point he allegedly remarked that the 2 teen girls, 14 and 16, were allowed to sit before pulling out a knife and stabbing both of the young women. Oh, God. So let me just guess. Were the girls eating there and he wasn't, and he was just using it as a place to rest? I don't know. Why would they? That'd be the only reason I could say that they wouldn't be able to sit there. Police responded in seconds, and Hutcherson ultimately surrendered. According to WABC TV, he was charged with felony counts of attempted murder, assault, criminal possession of a weapon, and misdemeanor endangering the welfare of a child. However, the outlet noted that he was also being investigated for a potential hate crime, as law enforcement sources told the New York Post that the man yelled, "I want all white people dead," adding, "I want to sit next to the crackers." 2 teens visiting from South Africa were taken to Bellevue Hospital to be treated for their injuries. One woman was stabbed in the thigh and the other in the back. According to reports, the injuries considered were non-life threatening. So at least they were non-life threatening injuries. Wow. Well, there you go. He wanted to kill some crackers. What the fuck? Hate crime still not a thing. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But in the New York Post, that was the shot. Here's the chaser. Accused Grand Central stabber shouldn't have been out after threatening a Bronx man 2 weeks before slicing teen tourists. The deranged attacker, who allegedly stabbed 2 teenage tourists at Grand Central Station Terminal, never should have been let out after he threatened a man in the Bronx just last month, the victim in that case said on Tuesday. Yusuf Abdulhalali. Oh, see, now we didn't get the name in the Breitbart article. Did they have his name in there? They didn't. Yusuf Abdullahi, 46. Oh, this is the guy that he stabbed. Yusuf was a victim of this guy. Was outraged after learning that Stephen Hutcherson, 36, had been cut loose by a Bronx judge just 2 weeks before he allegedly randomly knifed a 14-year-old girl and her 16-year-old sister as they enjoyed a Christmas Day meal with their family at a restaurant in the Grand Central Concourse. "They shouldn't have let him out of jail. I don't believe it," he told the Post. Abdullahi said his November 7th run-in with Hutcherson was the most dangerous encounter he had since he moved to the U.S. from Ghana in 2008. He'd been working outside a freight truck depot in Hunts Point when he said he saw Hutcherson allegedly attacking a woman. Hutcherson, a homeless man with a lengthy rap sheet and history of mental illness, then suddenly turned his ire on Abdullahi, yelling, "Why are you working for white people? I'm going to kill this man. I'm going to shoot you. I don't care what kind of green card the government gave you," Hutcherson said, according to the criminal complaint against him. "Open your mouth and say something. I will shoot you right now." At first, Abdullahi said he thought maybe he's high or going crazy, which would be a fair assumption. "I was thinking maybe he was just saying it and didn't mean it," he recalled. But when Abdullahi tried to walk into the workshop where he worked, he said the unhinged man blocked his path and showed him what appeared to be a gun tucked in his waistband. "He pulled a gun on me and said, 'I don't care what kind of green card you have. I'm going to shoot you right now,'" Abdullahi recalled. Hutcherson stormed away, sucker punching another man just 1 block away. Less than 30 minutes later, according to the... Okay, so Hutcherson's not a good guy. Let's put it that way. Select the boys in the house. Yeah, Hutcherson's not a good guy, and apparently the judge just let him go. I don't know I don't know what the extent of the charges against him were with this judge. So now it is New York, where we got, DAs letting people just go and come back later. So who knows? Who knows? But he clearly threatened somebody's life. He sucker punched another guy, which should have been an assault. The police did not recover a gun, but found a knife on him when they they did arrest him for that one. According to law enforcement sources, Hutchinson pleaded guilty to third-degree assault, a misdemeanor, and was sentenced to conditional discharge on December 12th by Judge Matthew V. Greco, according to court records. On Monday morning, Hutchinson allegedly became unhinged after workers at the Tartanary restaurant in Midtown Transit Hub refused to serve him, shouting, "I want all the white people dead," before suddenly lunging at teens, tourists visiting South Africa. So we already know that story. So, I don't know, man. He seems trouble. There's trouble. Right here in New York City. It's trouble with T. It rhymes with P and stands for pool. Moving on, and Chris Matthews. You know, the drunk, spittle-ridden former anchor on CNBC or MSNBC or whatever. You know, he's an NBC dude. Chris Matthews, remember him? Well, apparently, he's disparaging rural people again. Former MSNBC host Chris Matthews said that dealing with angry rural Americans is similar to combating terrorism. He said that on the Morning Joe show on Tuesday. Matthews highlighted let's see, they have the clip. This guy's an idiot. What are you talking about? My favorite people in this country are rural people, small town people. Man, we go to small towns all the time. Never have a problem. Me being a giant black man. Maybe that's why I don't have any trouble, because people are scared of me. But I don't care. People are always so nice and friendly. And what is he talking about? So he is, Matthews heightened the importance of anger in mobilizing voters during elections as he drew the analogy. He said rural Americans harbor deep-seated anger toward liberal elites, okay, and then seem to liken it to the sentiments of terrorists in Afghanistan and Iraq following the U.S. military presence there. There's Chris Dumbass Matthews. How long is this clip? We'll see how long.
This is rural race. They are so angry at the liberal establishment, the coastal elite. They look at people on television.
Deservedly so.
Oh, those people on Saturday Night Live, those snarling rich kids. I know who they are. They're all trust funders. They don't have to worry about us. And the regular guy in the country goes, there they are, snarling and making fun of us again. And every time we make fun of Trump, we're making fun of them. That's the weird.
Yeah, because that's what you do. You disparage their voters. That's what you do, you asshole.
Thing. But in a way, it's like fighting terrorism. I mean, you know.
It's like fighting terrorism. Really? That people might want to vote for something that you don't agree with? That's fighting terrorism? Stop. Please stop comparing shit to terrorism and Hitler, you fucking assholes.
I think we just put the army in, or Israel just puts the IDF in, they're going to solve the problem. It never solves the problem because you enrage people. And we did it with Afghanistan and we did it with Iraq. We enraged the enemy to the point where they're more fiery.
Notice what he did there. He compared rural people to what? What did he just say? He said, you enrage the enemy. He is calling rural Americans your enemy. What a jackass.
Ever, and they hate us more than ever. Armies don't make peace.
Okay, whatever. Here, let's just there. We'll stop that. So, so here's the problem too. President Joe Biden's federal communication. Oh, this is another story in this. President Joe Biden's Federal Communication Commission recently rescinded a nearly $900 million award to billionaire Elon Musk's SpaceX to provide broadband internet for rural Americans to over 640,000 homes and businesses in rural areas in 35 states. Now, do you think the people in the rural areas that were going to get internet provided might be unhappy about that? Do you think that, you know, they had this big award to get rural internet out, which Elon Musk was going to, you know, whatever. I don't know why they need to give him $900 billion to do it. They could probably provide it and have them pay for their internet service, but whatever. The FCC stated it made the decision because SpaceX's Starlink failed to show its capability to meet the requirements to provide the services. Oh, bullshit. They were mad that they decided to make Ukraine pay for it. And everybody in the Biden administration and all these different three-letter agencies got the message from Joe Biden that, oh, hey, maybe Elon Musk needs to be taken care of. Maybe Elon Musk needs to be investigated. Maybe Elon Musk needs to be taken a look at. And that was a signal to the agencies to start fucking with Elon Musk. It's been so obvious. All of a sudden, all these three-letter agencies are going after him in different ways. The $900 million award for SpaceX to provide Starlink in rural places, because Starlink doesn't require wiring, was it made sense. Now I don't know why you'd have to, why he couldn't just do it on his own, but which he still could, I suppose. But that's 640,000 homes and businesses in rural areas. Now you think that the people in those rural areas who are like probably pretty excited to be able to get that, were like, well, what the fuck's Biden doing now? Well, why wouldn't they be mad about that? The real loser is going to be rural America. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr stated Elon Musk is going to be fine. The $900 million isn't that big a deal to him, but we had millions of Americans that were guaranteed to get high-speed service now that the FCC had taken that commitment, vaporized it, and replaced it with nothing. And yeah, so if you're in that rural area thinking, oh yeah, we're going to be able to get some high-speed internet here, and all of a sudden the FCC fucks you over, you think they're happy? Do you think Chris Matthews is going to call them terrorists for being upset about that? That's some typical Chris Matthews shit right there. Anyway, moving on. Now did I mention yesterday that Marjorie Taylor Greene's house got swatted over the Christmas holiday? Well, she wasn't the only one. Now this one amazes me a little more, because, maybe the local police or whatever don't know Marjorie Taylor Greene's address, although it's been the 8th time she's been swatted. So they probably made a courtesy call while she was home for the holidays. But this one is a little bit weirder. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's home was swatted on Christmas Day by a caller claiming a man shot wife inside just weeks after holding the Electeds of Color party. Now, I don't think they're related. I'm the one who gets screwed by the SpaceX thing. Yeah, Monkey, I know you're rural, and there's in 35 states, 640,000 households. So, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu was swatted on Christmas Day, 2 weeks after hosting a controversial holiday party for the non-white council members. Boston Police Department were called to a reported shooting turned hostage situation at Wu's home in the city's Rollinsdale neighborhood around 5:30 p.m. on Monday, according to WBUR. The call was made through the city's 311 information system, claiming a man had shot his wife inside the home and tied her up alongside a second man. But once police and EMS crews arrived, they realized it was the mayor's home, and they were given a fake emergency call. Wu, 38, says she was shocked to open the door to see all the flashing lights, but it did not disrupt her family's evening. For better or worse, my family are a bit used to it by now, and we have a good system with the department, she told the radio station. So has this happened before to her? I don't even know. Craig Harrison, how you doing? Welcome. Same exact story with Styx Hexhammer swatting. Yeah, it's just crazy that this shit happened. That's a dangerous thing, because people have been killed in swatting incidents. Or at least it happened once. It hasn't, but still, it's not a good situation. Fucking with people's lives like that. So anyway, it's not clear if Wu's 2 young sons, whom she shares with her husband Connor Puwarski, were in the home at the time of the call. I don't know why that's important. Wu has been under fire after it was revealed that she was the host of the Electeds of Color holiday party earlier this month. I still think that's the funniest shit I've ever heard. The Electeds of Color party. So everyone who's all the not white people got invited, and they had to disinvite the white people because they accidentally sent invitations to everybody. That was amazing. That's got to be in my top 10 stories of the year just for it being so fucking stupid. All right, next in the Daily Wire, Joe Biden thinks he'd be more popular if the media reported on the economy the right way. Oh, you mean the $11,000 a year you're spending more in during the Biden administration than you were way back when? President Biden apparently believes that he would be polling better with the American people if media outlets were reporting the economy the right way. I'm gonna report it the right way. The president spoke briefly with reporters on Saturday just before he departed the White House to spend Christmas at Camp David, and he made it clear, like he always does, and so does Korean Jean-Pierre, that he blamed the media for his floundering poll numbers, particularly with regard to his economic policies. Yes, see, because nobody who sees you on TV sees you stumble over words like, like someone was throwing grenades at your feet. The president spoke brief. Wait a minute. One reporter asked Biden about his outlook on the economy going into 2024 and his re-election campaign. Biden replied, "All good. Take a look. Start reporting it the right way." Biden's comments came in the wake of yet another poll indicating that he is struggling to get above water, even within his own party. Talk about shooting the messenger, Fox Business host David asked. Let's see here. Is this the clip? Oh, it's not. There's no clip there. Talk about shooting the messenger. 61% of Democrats joining the 93% of Republicans and 85% of independents who say the economy is in bad condition, and Biden's blaming the media. Look, I don't care. See, I watched a little NBC clip, and I don't know if they have it in here, probably not, talking about, gas prices are down and inflation is down and the stock market's up. Yeah, gas prices pretty much always go down this time of year seasonally. Because of winter demand's usually lower. And the stock market's up. Yeah, that's true. And inflation is down. Yeah, from record highs under the Biden administration till still higher than when it was any time during the last guy with the funny hair. And guess what? Even though inflation percentage is down, it's still inflating, and you're still spending a hell of a lot more than you were on just basic shit than you were 4 years ago. Now, granted, you would be paying more on basic shit than you did 4 years ago anyway, because inflation gently rises, but it excruciatingly rose during the Biden administration. And so, again, there was the report that households on average are spending $11,400 more on just basic shit than they were 4 years ago. And that's not a good thing. And that people are seeing their bank accounts dwindle, their credit cards account rise. And so there you go. That's why people are like, this sucks and you suck. So you can talk about one economic factor here and there, or you can talk about we created 12 million jobs. Oh, or 14, whatever they say. They say 14 million jobs, right? But the labor participation rate is still lower than before he became president. The number of jobs returned is about 12,000. So your net 2 million jobs adds up to less than 100,000 jobs a month overall. So sorry, Sparky, but you really haven't done that much. And also people who, for whatever reason, there's a lot of people who just refuse to go back to work still. And so there's still places that are having a hard time filling positions, even though the unemployment rate is low. Because the employment rate is low because they changed how you count the unemployment rate. So you're just whatever. And anyway, so he's blaming the media for his lapse in poll numbers. Now, moving on. Now I didn't read this yet. I just saw the headline and I'm like, oh, really? Oh, is this one? Oh, hang on. Okay, stop there. Okay. So here's an interesting article that is talking about an article by somebody else. And I'll put both articles up here. All right, let me, hang on a second. Let me archive the actual Washington Post article that they're referencing here, and you can read that too if you'd like. Hang on a second. AR. And I'm pretty sure this was already archived. Let's see if it is. Yes, it is archived last 5 days ago. So here we go. The Washington Post claims that borders. Washington Post claimed that borders are bad for national security. Real quick, thanks Jimmy Das Hotep dropping a big bullet in the tip jar. Appreciate you. Jimmy Das Hotep says mass deflation is the only way inflation is truly down. This narrative that inflation is down because it is not rising as fast as is fucking asinine. I hate this narrative more than almost any other. They are screwing us openly. Yes, thank you, Jimmy Das Hotep. I appreciate the tip, and yes, absolutely 100%. So the Washington Post claims that borders are bad for national security. The Washington Post is pushing a bizarre new theory which argues that national borders, in fact, are bad for national security. Catherine Rampell, a columnist with the Jeff Bezos-owned newspaper, deployed twisted logic to conclude that Republican efforts to end America's mass immigration crisis would actually make the situation worse. Quote, "What does safeguarding national security have to do with curbing immigration?" she asked. Whoa, wait a minute. You see what she did there already? She did not differentiate between immigration and illegal border crossing. Guess what? Illegal border crossing. I hate to even call it illegal immigration because it's not immigration. Hello, Tex AG, below set, Evan. I hate to call it even illegal immigration because it's not immigration if you don't do it legally. It's just illegal border crossing. You just showing up. You're here and you're, I was going to say, you're here. You're queer. Get used to it. No, it's not even that. It's what the actual fuck are you talking about, Lee? If you don't know who, what, and why they're coming in your country, that's a national security issue, you dumbass. All right, let me see what else she says here. For the most part, she said, and before answering, okay, so what does safeguarding national security have to do with curbing illegal border crossing? Before answering incorrectly, for the most part, not much, but they are related in the sense that the measures Republicans want would undermine U.S. security. What measures might those be? According to the liberal left columnist, limiting President Biden's power to grant asylum and mass parole to illegal immigrants undermines U.S. security since it would essentially revive Title 42, which was working, a pandemic measure that required asylum seekers to remain in Mexico pending adjudication of their claims. What is wrong with that policy? They have never really been able to elaborate on what it is. Rampell even disingenuously implies Title 42 is responsible for the increased chaos at the border, when in reality, it was Biden's government's decision to allow the measure to expire, which drove the throngs of foreigners to the border. She goes on to conflate U.S. national security with Joe Biden's campaign promises, lamenting, quote, agreeing to these measures would violate Biden's 2020 campaign promise to restore integrity and humanity to the asylum system, promises he has arguably already been reneging on. Look, hello, bookworm addict. The idea you're restoring integrity and humanity to the asylum system when you're allowing human trafficking, the cartels making, the estimate that they made, it was went up from 500 million on human trafficking to about 12 billion with a B on human trafficking, because they're getting, now they're just, it's a fucking human trafficking tourist industry in Mexico where you're getting people from all over the world crossing our border at the southern border. None of these people who cross water have an asylum claim. They can't, because that's not how asylum works in international law. Hello, Cannibalistic Wizard. How you doing? So, first of all, anyone who had to cross water to get into Mexico should immediately be deported, not processed and to come for an asylum hearing later. I don't care where they came from, because the United Nations version of asylum means you go to the first port of entry of the first country that you can claim asylum in, and you have to be able to walk there. You can't fly there. You can't take a boat. You can't get a cartel to fly your ass into Mexico so you can just walk across our border. And every one of these people coming across the border that the cartels are making money off, they owe the cartel money for getting them across the border. So what do they end up doing? They go into, sweatshops, and they go into fucking prostitution and shit. And the cartels have people in the cities where they're going to enforce that. It's like, you what do you mean? And restore integrity and humanity to the asylum system. Bullshit. Y'all are nuts. Moving on, and if you want to read the actual, should we look at this editorial? I have time. How long is this? It's short, but still. Can I stand this for? Let me see how long I can stand reading this bullshit. In the name of protecting national security, Republican lawmakers are demanding, and President Biden is reportedly considering, immigration measures that would chip away at our national security. In the immortal words of my friend Ranty Monkey, kiss my whole ass.
Your life makes me sad.
For months, GOP lawmakers have held hostage proposed military aid for Israel and Ukraine. For months? Wait a minute. Oh, I see. If you count Ukraine. Look, stop throwing money to Ukraine and Israel. Because, look, Israel can handle its business. Okay? There is bipartisan agreement that our allies need this funding, and that it's in the United States' security interest to help them fend off terrorists and authoritarian forces themselves. Okay, now, National Pulse, where we got this story from, does have a right-wing bias. And you notice that they didn't even mention this part of it, saying that the national security interests tied to Ukraine and Israel have something to do with this. So remember, you gotta read more than just one article, especially when they're referring to an article that or outlet that they oppose. But the national security interest in people crossing our border that are supposed to be terrorists from other nations, people from places we're like, what the fuck are you doing? They're coming through here. Is also very important. So I'm not saying that the article that they wrote was completely wrong, but they didn't mention this part of it, of the editorial. What does safeguarding national security have to do with curbing immigration? Not immigration, you bitch! Illegal border crossings. That's what it has to do. That's what national security has to do with curbing immigration, illegal border crossings. For the most part, not much. Bullshit. If you see the multitude of people coming across our border, and guess what? It's interesting because there's video, and I don't have one queued up. But if you watch any of the videos of the people crossing these borders who are supposed to be asylum seekers, they're escaping some dangerous situation in their country. Then where are all the women and children? Now, there's some women and children coming across the border, but you look at some of these videos, and it's 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 military-aged men are the ones they're stopping and processing. Wait a minute, asylum? You need asylum? What about your women and children? They probably need asylum more than the the military-aged men. And yet it's all men. There's what? I swear, it was there had to be 1,000 people in this line. And there was one woman in the entire fucking line. And remember, where are they coming from? Venezuela. They had some Syrian nationals. They had Indian nationals. They had people from Senegal. They had people from Honduras. They had people from, let's see, what was the other one? There was another one. Places that, Ecuador, a lot of Central American countries. But now you're starting to see them from other parts of the entire freaking world where they got to fly to get to Mexico or take a boat. Oh, a lot of Haitians too. Oh, you got to take a boat. Why can't you ask for asylum in the Dominican? If you're from Haiti, why do you need asylum in Haiti? Is there some great massive crime going against certain ethnicities of Haitians or something? Why do you need asylum from Haiti? And if you do, why don't you go to the Dominican to get asylum? Hello, number one. It's the same here in the UK. Anybody would think the prisons of the third world had been emptied out and forced west. Well, there's a theory on that. So she says many Republicans' immigration demands involve gutting the asylum system. Not gutting it, just using it properly. Created after the atrocities of World War II to give persecuted people an organized process to apply for refuge. There is already a process for that. And they're not following it. They're coming across our border illegally. You know, there are places you can go where you can call American consulates, where you can apply for that asylum seeking thing that you need, supposedly, without any women and children. You can apply at the nearest American embassy. You can go to the nearest country that's has some sort of freedom or safety. But no, they're all coming into Mexico and coming across our border illegally. Dumbasses. This is crazy. One measure, for instance, would essentially revive the Trump-era Title 42 order, which used the coronavirus pandemic as an excuse to expel migrants without the opportunity to apply for asylum. That's a complete fucking lie. They could apply for asylum. They had to have it processed before they crossed our border. That's not, it doesn't expel them without the opportunity to apply. Oh, unless you're talking about the ones that did come across illegally. Agreeing to these measures would violate Biden's 2020 campaign promise. Okay, I can't read anymore because it summarizes, the rest of that article summarizes what's happening here. Yeah, it's not trying to curb immigration. It's trying to curb illegal, unaccountable border crossings by people who are not using our immigration system in a legal manner. Dumbass. Next. Okay, I got to go lightning round because I'm out of time here. Pizza Hut in California apparently is shedding jobs because there's a new $20 an hour minimum wage in California. California Pizza Huts are laying off delivery drivers in order to brace for the nearly 30% hike in the minimum wage for fast food workers set to kick in next April Fool's Day. April Fools. I don't think they'll be saying that in California, though. Thanks to a new law signed by Democrat California Governor Gavin Newsom, a minimum wage for fast food workers is set to jump from $15.50 to $20 an hour on April 1st, 2024. Now, that's interesting because in some places in California, fast food workers were already making $20 an hour. For example, when we were in San Francisco in 2019, the In-N-Out Burger on Fisherman's Wharf, they were advertising in the window. You start at $19 an hour because supply and demand, right? But the fact that they're making the entire state do the same thing. What about some small town in Northern California, where they don't necessarily need to pay $20 an hour. And it's funny because even here in Minnesota, where I think the minimum wage is like $9 an hour or something like that, and they don't differentiate between tipped employees and non-tipped employees in Minnesota, but whatever. Most places here pay fast food advertises they're paying $15 an hour, between 12, 15, $17 an hour, somewhere in that range. All you're doing is you're just going to make everything more expensive for people to eat at fast food restaurants. That's why you spend $12 for a fucking meal at McDonald's for one person nowadays. Anyway, in anticipation of the higher costs, Pizza Hut franchises are laying off employees, including more than 1,200 delivery drivers, some eliminating delivery entirely. Several Pizza Hut operators filed notices to comply with the Workers' Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, saying they were discontinuing their delivery service. So the unintended consequences of California doing their stupid shit. And the thing is, it's funny, delivery in California, they also don't differentiate between tip employees and wage employees. So whatever the minimum wage is, you pay it regardless if they make tips or not. That's what they do here in Minnesota. And restaurants work fine here, but it's expensive to eat in restaurants here. I'll tell you that. It's crazy, man. My wife and I went out to eat at one of our favorite spots here in my little town. And man, I didn't realize how much the prices had gone up to eat in restaurants. I mean, holy shit, it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty much close to double in some restaurants. And so it's kind of wild. So McDonald's food tends to suck ass. Tends to? It does suck ass, but some people like it. Anyway, in PJ Media, Bidenomics screws the private sector. Biden gives federal workers a big raise. Thanks to Biden, this is an editorial on PJ Media. Thanks to Bidenomics, Americans are struggling to make ends meet. Food, gas, and other essentials cost significantly more today than they did under Trump. Things are so bad that voters on both sides of the aisle say Biden's policies have hurt them financially. Oh, no, they haven't. That's just the media telling you that what you see in your own bank accounts doesn't mean anything, that Bidenomics is the greatest thing since, pre-sliced cheese and pre-shredded cheese. Actually, don't ever buy pre-shredded cheese, by the way. If you buy pre-shredded cheese, they have these like special chemical emulsifiers they put on, and they don't melt right. So if you're gonna do some cheese for like to put on top of your chili, or you want some cheese, you're gonna melt it or something, buy a block and shred it yourself. It works much better. Okay, that's your cooking tip for the day. Let's see. So the average family is, it's gone up since I last looked at this. The average family of 4 is paying $15,222 more per year for the same goods and services than when Biden first took office. Wow, that's over $1,000 a month. Oh yeah, $1,100. It was $1,100 a month, so that made sense. Or roughly, or $1,000, just over $1,000 a month. In these tough times, it would be nice if Joe Biden embraced policies that would actually help the average family. Instead, while Bidenomics is emptying America's wallets, federal workers are getting yet another raise. Federal employees are getting an average pay raise of 5.2%, which is the biggest increase in federal workers' salaries since the Carter administration. The salary hike for federal civilian workforce is close to 2.2 million people, is the heftiest since the 9.1% average raise in 1980. It's 0.6 percentage points higher than last year's increase, which itself was the highest in 2 decades, and it will take effect the first full pay period in 2024, starting January 14th for most federal employees. So let's spend more on bullshit. bullshit. Sure, some federal employees are essential, but I would say half of the federal workforce could probably go in the bin and we would never know the difference. Unfortunately, Republicans in Congress did little to push back against this pay raise. Yeah, so hey, Republicans, you're going to bitch about it, but you need to fight it. Congress has in some years adjusted the annual White House proposal on federal pay up or down, but this year, after Biden's proposed 5.2% raise in March, in his budget for fiscal 2024, Republicans in Congress engulfed for months in partisan battle over the raising of the country's debt limit, and then in an internal struggle over the House speakership, have been silent on the raise this year. Absent any action by Congress, the recommended raise goes into effect by default. Most lawmakers have already left Washington for the holidays, signaling the end of the legislative year and allowing Biden to finalize the pay hike with Thursday's executive order. So there you go. He can just do it by executive order because the Republicans are AWOL on that particular topic. Another thing, the main electric vehicle vote has been delayed. I'll try to fit on the page here. In August, I got a report from MRC TV that a branch of the ever-expanding Maine bureaucracy was gearing up, pun intended, for a vote on their government goal to mandate that 82% of car sellers and buyers in the state no longer trade in internal combustion engine vehicles as of 2032. So they're expecting in 9 years to everyone to be buying and selling electric vehicles. They're not, oh my God, these people are so stupid. They're so stupid. The Maine Board of wait a minute. This is at lawmakers. The Maine Board of Environmental Protection, a questionable title, is readying its pantomime hearing period before a vote at the end of 2023. So this isn't even a law. This is a bureaucratic agency in the state of Maine. But as 2023 comes towards the end, the vote has been indefinitely delayed. Get this, because the state government that wants to mandate electric vehicles on most residents discovered it was suddenly lacking electricity in many cities, including the August metropolis of the capital of, maybe they said the August metropolis of Augusta. The top Maine state environmental agency delayed a highly anticipated vote to approve sweeping electric vehicle mandates amid a storm that caused widespread power outages. Oh, isn't that ironic? They can't vote on mandating electric vehicles because there was a power outage in Maine. Oh, isn't that that is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is poetic. Holy shit. That's beautiful. And so Maine will be shutting down half the year when it's too cold for EVs. That too. That's hilarious. All right. I said this is lightning round, but I'm not going any faster. 29,000 migrants apprehended at the border during the Christmas holiday. 29,000. They're already at 250,000 for the month of December. They're going to break another record in December. All right. That's in Breitbart. In Daily Caller. Apparently, the Biden DOJ has instructed immigration judges to loosen restrictions on child illegal border crossers. But there's one problem. I bet it's going to be they're not a whole lot of children are coming in. Let's see what it is. We'll just read the summary here. The Department of Justice is asking immigration judges to treat cases involving migrants under the age of 21 as part of a child docket that loosens restrictions on court absences, according to a recent memo. Immigration judges should make special considerations when a young migrant fails to appear in court. The DOJ memo reads, the EOIR memo is just another way for the Biden administration to further their agenda of dismissing cases and avoiding removals for illegal aliens, instructing immigration judges to be more like counselors than enforcers of the law that Congress wrote. That's someone named Ira Melman, who works for the Federation for American Immigration Reform in America, aka FAIR, told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Now, what's the one problem here? I want to know what the problem is. In cases where a child shows sign that they're the victim of trafficking, abuse, and neglect, the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement may open a probe into the matter, according to the memo. The issue of trafficking has received much more attention after the New York Times reported on the exploitation of migrant children released to HHS-vetted sponsors that end up working in unsafe slaughterhouses and factories. The New York Times found that the U.S. government couldn't reach 85,000 migrant children released to the sponsors by HHS in recent years. That's the problem. They don't know where 85,000 of these kids are. They don't know where they are. So who knows if they're going to show up for a hearing? They don't even know where 85,000 of them are. Brilliant. Moving on. New York Post. Maybe. There we go. There's an opinion piece. Your tax dollars are paying for the Rights for Migrants legal scam. A record number of migrants invade as a record number of migrants invade the United States, wreaking pain on New York City and other communities, one group is winning bigly the public advocacy lawyers. Oh, yes, because, lawyers. Their business is to constantly sue to win more so-called rights for migrants. They don't have any rights. They're not here legally. Rights to shelter, rights to meals, rights to health care, and even the right to vote in local elections. Yeah, they're doing that in some cities. Who pays the bills on both sides of these lawsuits? Guess who? You do. Taxpayer money largely funds these legal combatants, which include the Coalition for the Homeless, the Legal Aid Society, and the Vera Institute of Justice. You're paying to be legally coerced into providing more for migrants, even at the cost of cutting vital city services. It's absurd, but it's about to get worse. The New York City Council this month passed a resolution 556 calling on the state legislature to guarantee as a right that all migrants have lawyers paid for by taxpayers when they go to immigration court. It would be a first-in-the-nation guarantee. Resolution 556 would give migrants more rights than American citizens have. No one else is guaranteed publicly funded lawyer in civil court matters such as housing court issues or divorce. Yikes, that the city council proposal would make the Big Apple even more of a magnet for migrants than it already is. Hey, I tell them to pass that shit. Go ahead and pass that. Let's have all the 7 million migrants, illegal border crossers head to New York and really get under Mayor Eric Adams' skin. That would be fucking awesome. So go ahead, pass that shit. Pass it. I agree 100%. Go ahead, New York. Do that. Do that thing. I just can't wait. I can't wait to hear Mayor Adams. Y'all, and guess what? All the people's paying the bills are going to keep moving to Florida and Texas and New Jersey and Maryland and South Carolina and all over everywhere but New York City. Go ahead. Oh, what was that? What? Oh, no, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Is that a new form of the Great Replacement Theory? There you go. There you go. You just keep doing that stupid shit in New York. You're amazing. Here's another one. In memoriam, 14 Americans. I'm not going to go through this, but 14 Americans, including some legal immigrants, among those allegedly killed by illegal aliens in 2023. This is just 14 of them. There's certainly more, but here's 14. Again, and someone will say, oh no, the crime rate amongst immigrants is much lower than that of natural born, Americans, American citizens. Yeah, of all immigrants. But if you separate out the illegal border crossers from actual immigrants who came through the system legally, I'll bet you that whole situation flip-flops. So if you want to read that, that's fine. I'm not going to go through it, but just a Breitbart propaganda against immigrants. Breitbart just hates immigrants. The CIA was sued over COVID records, by the way. I think, was it legal? The Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation linked group, a Heritage Foundation linked group is suing the CIA over records of its investigation into COVID-19 after a whistleblower said analysts were paid to change their conclusions. Oh, remember that? It was like 6 out of 7 had some conclusions, and they all changed their conclusions after Fauci had a little talk with them at the CIA. The Oversight Project, a government watchdog launched by the Heritage Foundation, filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the CIA last week. The lawsuit seeks to compel the agency to produce records of its investigation into the origins of the stupid 19, according to a copy of the suit obtained by the Daily Caller. This is an action under the Federal Freedom of Information Act to compel production of CIA records relating to allegations that the members of the CIA COVID discovery team, a group of employees tasked with analyzing the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, received monetary incentives to change their position on the origins of the virus. Oh, so they didn't like that. See, they didn't like that lab leak theory. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so anyway, we'll have to watch that lawsuit as it goes on. In the New York Post, Don Jr. put his dad on notice over a buzz of Nikki Haley as VP pick, says he would intervene. Oh, Donald Trump Jr. drew the line in the sand for his father in the Veep stakes. The Veep stakes, isn't that clever? The Veep stakes. The former president's son threw cold water on the notion that former President Donald Trump would select his former UN ambassador as his running mate. Trump Jr. was adamant about flexing his clout to ensure that Haley did not get the position. Good, because we don't need to start a war. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have her, and I would go to great lengths to make sure that that does not happen, he told Newsmax's Eric Bolling. Well, is he an advisor to his dad on this kind of shit? Nikki Haley wants never-ending wars. Yep. She's a puppet of the establishment in Washington, D.C. She's the new favorite candidate of the billionaire class because they want control, no different than academia at Harvard and using their billions to exercise influence. Well, there you go. And, yeah, because she's, well, that's because of that. Let's see. At Issues Insight, there's a poll. More bad news for Biden. Just 34% of Americans say they're better off than 4 years ago. Wow, that seems high to me. But again, look, there are lots of people who have made money off of the shitty economy. So not everyone, there are people that may be better off. They may have finished school, they may have gotten a better job, they might have done this, they might have done that. But only 34% say they're better off than 4 years ago. That's not good. Meanwhile, a mere 23% of those surveyed say that Biden is doing an excellent or good, not one or the other. 23% excellent or good. 58% saying they are not better off than they were 4 years ago, before the COVID pandemic. Oh, they're qualifying specifically before the COVID pandemic. So anyway, you can go through the details of that poll. I want to get to Delta Airlines. We'll get to it. It's not even election year, but the clock is ticking for Joe Biden. It's just an article about bad news for him. You can go through that one yourself. Voters are increasingly ditching the Democratic Party for the GOP in this crucial swing state. This is Pennsylvania. Democratic voters in the battleground state of Pennsylvania are increasingly leaving the party for the GOP ahead of the 2024 election. Pennsylvania, which has picked the winner of the presidential election for the last 4 cycles, has lost over 35,000 of its Democratic voters to Republicans this year, according to December 18th data released by the state's Department of State. Conversely, only 15,622 of the state Republican voters became Democrats in 2023. So it's a net swing of 20,000. Interesting. So there's more on that in the article. I want to get to the Delta thing, though. Oh, the U.S. Navy downs 3 ballistic missiles and 2 cruise missiles and dozens of drones fired by the Houthis in the Red Sea. U.S. naval assets downed a dozen suicide drones, 3 anti-ship ballistic missiles, and 2 land-based cruise missiles the Houthi fired toward the Red Sea over a 10-hour period on Tuesday. The military said in a statement, U.S. warships and an aircraft carrier had been on patrol in the Red Sea region to defend commercial shipping from the Iran-backed militant group's repeated attacks and contain the conflict. Beginning at 6:30 a.m. Sana'a time, destroyer USS Laboon and fighter jets from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower aircraft carrier thwarted the day-long salvo of drone and missile attacks in the southern Red Sea region, U.S. Central Command said in a statement, as the Houthis claimed a missile attack on another container vessel. So they're out there doing their job. So there you go. Clowns in space. This is a PJ Media article. U.S. Space Force officer claimed troop readiness affected by non-existent anti-LGBT laws. Oh, okay. I'll give this one some time. Lieutenant General Deanna M. Burt sports the fancy-sounding title of Deputy Chief of Space Operations, Cyber and Nuclear, United States Space Force. That's quite a title. And her duties include, quote, overall responsibility for operations, sustainment, cyber, and nuclear operations of the United States Space Force. In an undated video, Burt makes certain comments that suggest Lieutenant General is lost in space. So here's some of the things that she said. She said that, here's how they write it. Let's take a look at some of the cosmic codswallop in the brief video. Lieutenant Burt's first photon torpedo double take dud is, quote, since January this year, more than 400 anti-LGBTQ plus laws have been introduced at the state level. Okay. What she meant to say is that there are more than 400 bills introduced at the state level. A bill is not a law, and the Lieutenant General's statement is already a space oddity. Whether Burt was intentionally misleading or she simply missed school that day they taught this stuff in civics is unknown. Now, let's talk about the 400 anti-LGBTQ WTF laws. Few, if any, of the bills are anti-LGBT. I looked at roughly 135 and didn't find one that targeted the gay community. Texas SB 77, for example, revolves around parental rights regarding the teaching of sex and gender-related topics to kids. Another, Texas SB 12, is, in summary, relating to the authority to regulate sexually oriented performances and to restrict these performances on the premises of commercial enterprise and on public property and in or the presence of individual younger than 18 years of age, authorizing a civil penalty, creating a criminal offense. So no hookers and dancers at your holiday party on the in the public park, basically. Many of the bills involve the use of Medicaid for transgender surgeries. Others are about teaching gender studies to children. Some involve vaccinations. The LGBT crew isn't even mentioned. Now back to the video. It continues with Burt claiming, quote, that number is rising and demonstrates a trend that could be dangerous for service members, their families, and the readiness of the force as a whole. Really? Hell, amazing disgrace. In other words, Lieutenant General Burt believes that preventing needy men in dresses from wagging their thong nethers in the faces of children is not only anti-LGBT, but affects the readiness of troops. Well, what if your drag queen is one of the troops? He might feel bad that he can't, wave his thong and clenched ass in front of a 3-year-old. Hey, wait, I just remembered. I wrote about these 400 plus so-called anti-LGBT bills a while back. In that article, I was unable to find a single bill that adversely affected the gay community, and again, most involved parental rights regarding their kids' education, insurance, and gensuing the genitals of confused children. A few call for prosecuting doctors who attempt to transition children before they're adults. So here's...
Since January of this year, more than 400 anti-LGBTQ plus laws have been introduced at the state level. That number is rising and demonstrates a trend that could be dangerous for service members, their families, and the readiness of the force as a whole.
Really? Really? How does having your kid not be able to have a book with cartoon porn in it stop the readiness of troops of Space Force? How? And what does that have to do with LGBTQ adults? Nothing. Okay, you get the idea. We're moving on. I want to get to the Delta Airlines story, and then I'm leaving. Georgia's new Medicaid program requiring applicants to have a job is experiencing a slow start. California will open Medicaid to everyone, even if you don't have papers. Free. Well, free, we all know someone pays for it. But Georgia had the common sense of adding a work requirement to obtain Medicaid. Governor Brian Kemp also limited the expanded coverage to those earning up to 100% of the federal poverty line, $14,580 for a single person and $30,000 for a family of 4. Kemp thought 31,000 people would sign up for the new program, which started in July, but only 1,800 enrolled, according to Politico. Okay, whatever. Is this it? Yes, this is the one. This is the article. This is the one that went viral. Okay, this is Delta Airlines. This guy decided to stand up to a trans activist at an airport, and it's pretty funny, actually. A man who appears to be a Delta Airlines employee went viral this week on social media after he stood up to an alleged transgender activist who was upset that the man did not use his preferred pronouns. So it was a power play. Now I feel bad because I got a feeling, I have a feeling this man's going to be fired, and I hope to God he's not, because really, he didn't have to mess with this nonsense. Here's the video. Let's just show you the video, because this is pretty. Everyone was showing this video. I don't know if you may have already seen it, but let's just show it to you. Okay, here it is.
Working a lot.
And what about when adults employ misgenders you intentionally?
While he's talking, you're talking.
You just misgendered me again.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Gotcha.
Both of you have.
It wasn't intentional, but if you want to take it personal, that's also.
Well, she did do it intentionally twice.
You're talking to me too.
You said she and then you said he.
You're being condescending, and if you want to continue, I have full authority to escort you out the building right this moment if you want to play that game with me. Okay. Would you like to continue 3 days before Christmas? I really don't mind.
I'm good. I'll just put this on.
Okay, so anyway, he wasn't having it. He's like, okay, yeah, okay, but let's just move on or shut the fuck up, basically. And apparently, this person is I don't have it. It is an activist. We know who it is. There's someone who has a podcast with Dylan Mulvaney and whatever. But they actually tried bullying an airline pilot for misgendering. Wrote the popular X accounts lived to TikTok. The employee wasn't having it. This is the correct way to deal with these narcissists who demand we give into their delusions. It's all just a power trip for them. Attorney Kurt Schlichter responded, "You are not morally obligated to play along with nuts who demand attention and obedience." And then someone else said, "This is how it's done." Excuse me. We must stop being a society of adults who are afraid of children who want to enforce their speech codes on the rest of us. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's very easy to misgender that person. I've seen pictures, and I don't care what kind of a dress the young human male puts on. Still looks like a man or a he or whatever. So it's easy to misgender somebody, and you can try to not do it, and sometimes your brain just doesn't work that way. So sorry, Charlie, spelled with an I. Okay, we'll finish up here. Justin Drew. Oh, Canadians. Now, my Canadian friends in the chat, my Canadian friends watching, Justin Trudeau and the great state of Canada has improved your lives greatly with this measure. Greatly with this measure. So you're saying he looks like a he. Yes, looks like a he. Hello, Jethro Hetero. Nice to have you back. Welcome. Justin Trudeau has improved the lives of Canadians because Justin Trudeau, is it just he made good. He made good on the week leading up to Christmas. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reportedly made good in the week leading up to Christmas on his May 2023 promise to install dispensers for feminine hygiene products in bathrooms. Oh, not just any bathrooms. In men's bathrooms. They'll have feminine hygiene products in men's bathrooms. Yes, guys, you'll be able to get a tamp if you need one. You'll be able to get a tamp. Former Canadian Senator Linda Frum. Oh, in men's bathrooms, yes. Former Canadian Senator Linda Frum fumed that Canadian taxpayers were being forced to support transgender ideologies. He says back in the day when only women menstruated, we had to pay for our own products. But now that men menstruate too, these products, as of this week, are mandated to be free in all men's washrooms in all federal workplaces, including Parliament Hill, where this photo was taken today. Here's the thing. I know, ladies, why you want the government to pay for your feminine products. Oh, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Why you want the government to pay for your feminine products. It should be the other way around, shouldn't it? If everybody has them, then everyone should just pay for themselves. Or stuff a towel up there or something. I don't know. But it's like, it's not a requirement that you have feminine hygiene products of the commercial variety. That's not menstruation. That's colon cancer. Yeah. The New York Post on Tuesday corroborated Frum's tampon sighting with a post from someone who presented themselves as a staffer of the House of Commons. They're also going to build dispensers for all the tampons which won't be used since, 1, men don't menstruate, and 2, they are just going to bring them home to their wives for free. The putative parliamentary staffer pointed out the cost of showering the men's rooms in Parliament with ladies' products might not be too bad, but the Canadian Labour Code now stipulates that all feminine-identified and male-identified and all gender toilet rooms will need to have menstrual products also. The requirement will eventually fall upon private sector potties as an unfounded mandate, the favored political instrument of Western authoritarians. Critics slam the regulation as an effort to eliminate masculinity and femininity, noting that the regulations manage to stuff every bathroom, no pun intended, with tampons, without referring to either men or women. It refers to the tampon users as menstruating employees. So there you go. There you go. Everyone in Canada gets free products in the government buildings now. The last 2 articles, or 3 or whatever. Jeffrey. They call him the queer Buddhist life coach, encouraging your kid to hide their sexuality from you. Yeah, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Marsh, this predatory fuck on the internet who encourages kids to have private conversations with him in his Patreon about, their sex lives and gender lives, whatever. Jeffrey Marsh, a Buddhist gender-bending life coach who identifies as non-binary, has made a career of encouraging LGBTQ social media users go to non-contact with parents, or to no contact. So he encourages them to not stop talking to their parents and only talk to him. Marsh has been making videos on Vine and other social media sites since at least 2014 as a time machine so he can speak to his 10-year-old self back in Pennsylvania on the farm. Marsh's brand of LGBT activism has roots in Zen Buddhism, which he says he adopted after struggling with his self-identity as both gay and Christian. Marsh's videos come under fire after some circulated of the influencer urging LGBT viewers to go no contact with their parents and family. Your parents screwed up. This is how he said, your parents screwed up. It's okay to say so. Marsh says in one video, that's why I made a Patreon, so that we could talk about it, so that we could connect in a way that has more privacy, so that we could talk to each other in a way that's more open, stuff that we wouldn't share in the comments of a video like this. Really, Jeffrey? Are you asking for photos too? As of this writing, Marsh's Patreon and life coaching services are only available to individuals 18 years old and older, but Marsh's videos have routinely been addressed to children, with the influencer beginning many of his videos with, "Hey kids." Ugh, I hate this guy. After the controversy, Marsh's videos are not as clearly addressed to children specifically, but he still harps on themes of going no contact with non-affirming parents. Going no contact will feel worse. I can't lie to you, Marsh said in a recent video. If you go no contact, the rules change. You're unmoored. There's no sense of safety and sense of place because the rules change. In another video, Marsh asked parents to, quote, hand over, end quote, their phone to the kids so he can discuss his non-binary identity with them. It's none of their fucking business, Jeffrey. And it's none of your business to talk to other people's kids. Sometimes humans are more boy or girl, he tells the kids. Sometimes we're something else. Sometimes we kind of float. And sometimes we're a boy and sometimes we're a girl, because human beings are creatures and we're wild and exciting. TikTok creator Shumarun Nessa, who goes by the username The Real Overlord Comedy, went viral in March for her videos blasting March. Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing. That's just, look, that's classic grooming. After being doxxed and threatened and harassed for her views, Nessa defended herself by posting more videos from March's Patreon. In one, he announces that he's going to tell a story about Jeff and I having sex. Great. Hi, beautiful. If you do have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family, he says in another. He's fucked up. I don't even want to read anymore. He disgusts me. The only other articles that I have up in the Daily Caller, Kamala Harris. Oh, I was going to talk about Kwanzaa. This is it. It's the second to last article. So Kamala Harris, again, this year, like last year, is claiming that her family was celebrating Kwanzaa when she was a child. Vice President Harris tweets on Tuesday to celebrate the holiday of Kwanzaa, which was founded by a black nationalist convicted of torturing women. Happy Kwanzaa to all those celebrating. Doug and I hope your week is filled with community and light, tweeted Harris. Harris, who was born 2 years prior to the creation of Kwanzaa, further tweeted that she celebrated the holiday when she was growing up. Now that's bullshit. Let me tell you about Kwanzaa. Okay, Kwanzaa, when it was when the guy invented it, and I'm not knocking it that people celebrate it. I don't care if you. It's a celebration. It's not a religious holiday by any stretch of the imagination. It's just something that he came up with, and if he wants to do that, that's fine. If people want to celebrate it, that's great. Whatever. But Kwanzaa was barely even known in this country until the 80s. It was a very small enclave of people in California who were celebrating this holiday that they created, right? Kamala Harris wasn't in that community. Why? Because Kamala Harris is not African American. Her mother is from India. Her father is from Jamaica, and both immigrated to the United States. Neither of them are African American. Number two, the growth of the celebration of Kwanzaa didn't happen until the 1980s. Well, and again, you weren't here when I said this before, Select Boy. I'm not knocking Kwanzaa because it's not a fake holiday. It's a real holiday that someone came up with that is not religious in nature. It's a community African American holiday that someone made up. Yes, absolutely, someone made up. Just like many holidays are made up. Mother's Day is made up. A lot of holidays are made up. But it's not supposed to be a religious holiday. It's supposed to be just a statement of unity among Black Americans, and not every Black American like myself celebrates it. But whatever. I'm not going to knock people who do. Kamala Harris, though, is not African American, never was, and also when she was a child, she mostly grew up in Canada. She and her mom and her sisters moved to Montreal. Why would a native of India? Why would a native of India who living in Canada celebrate an American holiday for the descendants of Americans of slaves? She's full of shit. I'm sorry. Growing up, Kwanzaa was always a special time where we would come together to celebrate culture, community, and family. What culture? What community? You were never a Black American, ever. Sending my warmest wishes to all who are celebrating the United States and around the world. Nobody celebrates this in any other part of the world. Does she not know that? It is strictly an American holiday. Does she not know that people don't celebrate this in other countries? Around the world, she's full of shit. And here's Joe Biden. To everyone celebrating, Jill and I wish you a joyous Kwanzaa. In 2024, it's our hope that we will all remember the wisdom of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, especially the values of unity and faith. May your celebration be filled with hope and light. Okay. The holiday was created in 1966 by Maulana Ron Karenga, born Ronald Everett, as a Pan-African celebration of Black values, history, and community and culture. But he himself says it's not an African holiday. He absolutely states that himself. It is not an African holiday. Karenga was deeply anti-Christian and intended for the holiday to replace Christmas for Blacks, as he thought of Christianity as a white religion. A Black community organizer in the Indianapolis Recorder wrote 5 years after founding Kwanzaa, Karenga ended up in prison on charges of kidnapping and torturing 2 women. A fact check from the Dispatch noted he allegedly used a soldering iron and a vice a vice, and a toaster as instruments of torturing the women. These aspects of Karenga were alluded to in a Twitter thread by Saurabh Sharma, the president of the American Moment organization, when he wrote that the vice president was celebrating a fake holiday invented by a communist-fed, violent pervert and convicted criminal, Ronald McKinley Everett, also known by his adopted LARP moniker, Maulana Nebezitha Karenga. Okay? And again, good morning. Today, our half Jamaican, half Indian vice president has elected to acknowledge a fake holiday invented by a communist-fed, violent pervert, and convicted criminal. Okay. And then Karenga, however, has acknowledged that Africans of all faiths can and do celebrate Kwanzaa, given that the holiday has acquired a cultural significance rather than a religious one, History.com noted. Thus, many adherents of Kwanzaa also celebrate Christmas, the outlet added, which included my mother, which I didn't even know she was celebrating Kwanzaa until I went home and there's 7 candles on our fireplace. I'm like, what is that? No, I'm celebrating Kwanzaa. Why do you celebrate Kwanzaa? That was it. But the idea that Kamala Harris says she was celebrating Kwanzaa as a child is complete and utter bullshit. All right. The only other article I have left is in PJ Media, creating a left-wing Jesus. This is just more on the people trying to bend Jesus to their own political ideology rather than just understand the teaching of Jesus. And it's annoying. But anyway, that's it, guys. I got to go. Thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I'm an hour over my normal time. Goodness gracious. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Think about what y'all are doing on New Year's for the new year, because on Friday during the show, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, resolutions or things that you were happy about in 2023, things you want to accomplish in 2024. That's the whole show is just going to be kind of Q&A. I might bring a couple of guests on, who knows, but mostly we're just going to chat and talk about this year that has passed and the year that is coming. Oh, also, I would like if you would think about it, if you plan on being here Friday, think about what you think the biggest news stories of the year are. We'll do a year-end roundup on some things too. I mean, not too extensive. I'm not going to do a lot of research. I'm just going to try to think of shit off the top of my head and talk about shit that you want to talk about in chat. So that's the programming note for Friday. I'll be back tomorrow and Friday at my normal time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, on this channel, aka the P-Dog Night channel on YouTube and Rumble, if it works tomorrow and Friday. Thanks for joining me today. It is time for me to go. My name is P-Dog Night. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a fantastic fucking day. Hey, this is P-Dog Night, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Night, and I'm out of here.